All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? What's happening? Good afternoon. This your girl Tiffany coming through right here live in effect. So I know many of y'all was sitting up there and tuning in to the Gucci Man and the Young Jeezy versus battle. I know y'all was enjoying yourself, but I hope, and I want to say this, that you guys can also learn from it at the same time because I've seen some critiques where people criticize the fact that Young Jeezy was saying that he did it like a man and he wanted to you know break the beef off with Gucci because they've been at it for 15 years. I know this now because I grew up in Atlanta. I grew up in the South, and I grew up on the East Side. Okay, and Gucci is from the East Side of Atlanta. I'm not sure what side of town Jeezy from. I forgot where he's from. He might be from the East Side too. I can't remember exactly. But they beef been going on since Gucci Man first came out. All right, Gucci came out around 2004. And so, Jeezy was on the song. He did the only song with Gucci was Icy. I remember that. And from there, things fell out with them. And it's been, like you said, it's been about 15, 16 years. All right. So, Jeezy said something that was very prevalent. Whether we like what's going on in Jesus' personal life or not, but he did say something that's very important. He said, we do this for the culture because what's going on with King Von and what happened to Mo 3 and all these other rappers that's dying left to right, passing away. He said, we got to do this for the culture. Okay. We doing it so we can show that we are better men. We ain't got to always beef with each other. And I think that was great of him. I think that was very mature that he decided that he wanted to do a versus with Gucci to sell their differences or whatnot. So regardless, whatever personal situation going on, whatever happened to his homeboy or his partner that transpired, that takes a lot of gut to do something like that. And also I want to say this. I noticed that a lot of people, when somebody passes away, especially, it becomes just a gossip thing. Like, yeah, this nigga got killed. You whoopty whoop. And it shouldn't be something in the form of gossip. That's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Because unless we can take a lesson from it, we shouldn't just sit around and gossip about somebody, getting shot over some bullshit. Because nowadays, a lot of these dudes out here that's in that street shit, they're not dying because of income. They're dying because of reputation. And it's all about reputation. That's what it's really about. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I'm noticing. And I'm taking note of that. But hopefully a lot of you cats out there that's running around here, that's into this shit, you can't do this shit forever. You can't run the street forever. And all you females out there that's shaking your ass in the clubs and shit, you can't do that shit forever either, okay? You can't be old and rusty and shaking your ass up in the club. You can't be old and rusty trying to sell drugs. You got to come up with a better plan. You got to come up with something that's more productive, something that your kids can carry on for generation and not just have to worry about somebody's coming after them or they looking over their shoulder because of some fucked up shit that you done and they got to pay the price for it. You know what I mean? So come up with a better solution. Come up with something that's going to expand and grow throughout generations. All right. You got to come up with a better plan. If you talking about taking back the streets, taking back the block and buying up properties and all that, you got to come up with a plan. Because that selling drug shit, that the gang banging shit, the pimping shit, all that shit, that ain't going to last you forever. That's not going to last you. Okay. So, and today, going into the topic about drug dealers and reputation and hustling and pimping and all that, we going into the underground, the underworld. All right. Because we got to look at the underdogs. This story is a brother who was from Chicago, the South Side of Chicago. His name was Flukey Stokes. All right. Flukey Stokes was born in Chicago and he died on November 16, 1986 at the age of 48. which is fairly young. But here's the twist: his son died before he did. His son was killed. Okay. So after his son had passed, after having his funeral, he ended up getting killed at 48. So we gotta look at this from a educational standpoint. So this is not to encourage or to influence anybody to get involved in the lifestyle or continues the lifestyle. No, this is not what I'm here to do. It's just to bring about information and present the source, and that's all I'm here to do. So I want to get that disclaimer out so anybody won't think I'm into the politics or trying to encourage or trying to, do anything in that nature, because that's not my goal. That's not what I'm here to do. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, well, I Fourth Ward, that's the east side. Fourth Ward is the east side of Geechee. That's the east side. Yeah, Fourth Ward, that's the east side. That's over there on the east side area. So yeah, so Jeezy is from the east side then, if he over there from the Fourth Ward. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, that's the east side. Because I know what Fourth Ward is. Yeah, that's the east side. That's right over there. I was right. All right. Yes, I am going to talk about, is it Flokey? I thought it was Flukey. Yeah, Flukey. I said it. Didn't I say Flukey? I thought I said Flukey Stokes. Yeah, I said it right. Yeah, Flukey. Okay, well, yeah, let's go ahead, because yeah, we're going to the underdogs. We're going to the underworld. We're going there. We're going there. Yes, we're going to talk about the underdogs, Geechee. Yep. Yes, sir. Yep. So maybe you can help me out. Maybe you can put some information out there about them. All right. Whatever information I missed, you can help me. But I felt like this was something that we can talk about, and it's not a way to promote or not even to encourage, but we gotta look at the underdogs, the underworld, and what it's like to be in the black marketing, mean that doing the illegal hustles and all that other stuff. And also what it's like to be coming from the inner city and hustle your way up out the inner city to get to the suburbs or live a better life then, but end up getting caught up in the fast life. So yeah. All right, then. So let's go ahead and let's look at Mr. Flukey Stokes. Who was Flukey Stokes? And what do we know about him? So Flukey Stokes was born Willie Morris Stokes. And he was an American reputed mobster from Chicago, Illinois. Stokes was from the South Side and well known for his silk suits, diamond rings, flamboyant lifestyle as a drug trafficking kingpin and pool hall owner. Stokes immortalized himself in Chicago by throwing a $200,000 party on his 30th wedding anniversary in 1985, and for the decadent funeral he arranged for his murdered 28-year-old son, Willie the Wimp. Yeah, it says Willie the Wimp Stokes Jr. in February of 1984. The elder Stokes had his son buried in a Cadillac-style coffin in $100 bills stuffed between his diamond ring-laden fingers. 2 years later, in November of 1986, Flukey would also be murdered along with his chauffeur sitting inside a 1986 Cadillac limousine while talking on his wireless telephone. Stokes was 48 years old. Now, what's going on right now in Chicago? And my heart really bleeds for those who are currently living out there. There's a lot of high crimes taking place. A lot of murders happening back to back. You know, it seems like Chicago is a very dangerous city as of right now. And for those that's living out there, I hope you all are very careful, you know, when you go into certain areas or being around certain individuals. You know, just please be careful out there because, you know, crimes is happening back to back. And recently, Chicago received its name Chirac in around, 2016, 2015. I mean, it just, woo, it's just really devastating. That there's a high level of crime happening, and then a lot of the rappers that are passing away come from Chicago. Okay, some of them come from elsewhere, but like King Von and what's his name, FBG Duck, yeah, FBG Duck, and the ones that came before him, most of them came from Chicago. And then what's also interesting, the drill music started in Chicago too. So yeah, it's a hard knock life out here. You never know what you're gonna come across, what kind of people that you're gonna deal with. So, you know, places like Detroit and Chicago, especially in those time period of time around like the 60s, all the way on up to the 80s, they were always known for either the drugs or the prostitution or the pimping. So it was a lot of fast life that was taking place in those cities that resulted to a lot of murder and killing and robbery that's taking place. And then also you got places like New Orleans that's up there, Miami up there, you know what I'm saying? And some parts of Atlanta, but Atlanta ain't got nothing compared to Chicago and Detroit and New Orleans. Yeah. But let's go ahead and continue with the story or the biography. So let's look at the Cadillac Coffin. Willie Stokes garnered international notoriety for the arrangements he made for his son, Willie the Wimp's funeral. The younger Stokes followed his father's example, trafficking narcotics and rivaled his dad's appetite for gambling. Flukey said of his son, he was a fine young man. He was very well liked and did a lot of gambling. Willie the Wimp was buried in a custom designed casket made to resemble a Cadillac Seville. At his viewing, he was propped up in the coffin with his hands on the steering wheel. The casket had functioning headlights and taillights that blinked, white wall tires, and a windshield, and a vanity license plate that read Wimp, Stokes' nickname. He wore a flaming red suit, a jaunty gray hat, and diamond rings. Several $100 bills stuck out from between his fingers. Sir Anthony, how you doing? Greetings to everybody in the chat. I appreciate you guys coming through. Sounds like a song. Yeah, it is a photo, Geechee. I don't really want to show that photo because, you know, some people are very sensitive to seeing somebody that's deceased. So I don't really want to show that because I don't want to kind of, I try to be careful doing that because I don't want people to, you know, be a little, you know what I'm saying, be a little nervous or feel uncomfortable or anything like that. So I think the photo is a little too graphic for people to see. But you're right, Geechee, is photos out there with pictures of him or his son in the casket. So yeah, but I'd rather not show it. It goes like this. Sounds like a song. Bill Carter and Ruth Ellensworth of Austin, Texas was reading the Austin American Statesman one morning, and they read the syndicate column about Willie the Wimp. Carter said, I said to Ruth, this isn't a column, it's a song. They drove to the studio, and Carter said that in the 2 miles it took us to get there, we put the column to music. Jimmy Vaughn was at the studio, and he called his brother Stevie Ray Vaughan to tell him about it. Stevie liked the song, recorded and performed it live for his fans around the world. Much of the song's lyric came directly out the column, included a quote from from Willie the Wimp's mother, where she described her and her husband's reason for wanting an extravagant funeral for their son. She said that her son left like he lived in a lively manner. It was worked into a verse in the song that says, in his Cadillac to heaven, he was waving that banner. He left like he lived in a lively manner. Wow. That's very deep. So, and it goes into more about his son, but we're going to go ahead and look down at the ambush and death. Notwithstanding the $200,000 anniversary bash Flukey arranged for his wife, nor the wedding vows they renewed on that occasion, he was with a mistress the day he was murdered. Stokes was killed by two men who laid in wait for him as he stopped to drop off his girlfriend, Diane Miller, outside her residence on 79th Street and South Ellis Avenue. On November 19, 1986, at 12:30 a.m., a gunman armed with a 12-gauge pump shotgun pointed at the windshields and shot out the glass. He then proceeded to fire off shells through the vehicle's passenger side. Stokes died from gunshot wounds in his mouth and upper chest. His driver, Ronald Johnson, was killed by a second gunman firing a 9mm semi-automatic pistol. The woman ducked the assailant's line of fire, spoiling the back seat, and survived the attack uninjured. Woo! But that comes with the lifestyle, that comes with the territory. Stokes was described by authorities as the richest and the most flamboyant drug dealer on Chicago's South Side, further stating that he was known to win or lose much as $250,000 over a single weekend in Las Vegas, and that he seldom missed a night at local racetracks. Although Stokes owned a local pool hall, law enforcement officials stated that Stokes was officially listed as unemployed, and that he declared gambling income on his tax return to account for his wealth. Well, unbeknownst to Stokes, the Drug Enforcement Administration was concluding an investigation and was preparing to serve him a federal grand jury indictment for drug racketeering, operating a continuing criminal enterprise, and income tax evasion. Garfield Hammond, assistant special agent in charge of the Chicago Drug Enforcement Administration, said Chicago has lost one of its biggest source of supply for cocaine and heroin regarding Willie Stokes. Stokes was renowned for his flamboyance, usually wearing suits of fine silk with his finger weighed with diamond cluster rings as big as silver dollars, his forearms festooned with gold bracelet and gem emblazoned watch on his right wrist, and a gold chain with a diamond stud F for Flukey around his neck. However, on the day he died, he was wearing jogging clothes with no jewelry at all. The Cook County medical examiner recorded that Stokes died wearing blue sweatpants, powder blue undershorts, a red leather jacket, a red t-shirt underneath a blue t-shirt with the word Michigan written on it, white sneakers, brown socks, and a black cap. Okay. Well, you know what, Courtney? To respond to Sir's comment about wait, uninjured, can't trust these hoes. Okay, and here's the misconception. People think because sometimes a person can be uninjured, meaning that they always got something to do with it. And it's not always the case. Just because somebody is uninjured doesn't mean they always the one that set up the individual to be killed or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So we don't really know what happened. We don't know if the person did set him up or she didn't, but don't always assume that. Don't always assume that that's the case. You see what I'm saying? So you gotta, you know what I'm saying? You gotta be careful of that. You gotta be careful with that assumption. because we don't really know exactly what happened, how it transpired. It doesn't really go into detail of who behind it, so I don't know. I don't think that was a joke. I think you meant that. I don't think that was a joke. I think you meant that though, but you try to clear it up. Anyways, let's get back to the point. So the funeral, compared to his son's funeral, Flukey Stokes' arrangements were considerably modest. The service was held at the A.R. Leak Funeral Home on 78th Street and South Cottage Grove Avenue, which also concluded the ceremony for the younger Stokes. Over 7,000 people filed past Flukey's casket for a final glimpse of the slain mobster. Stokes was mostly spoken of with reverence by the crowd in attendance. One young mourner said of Flukey, "I was walking on the same street he was walking. I went up to him. I spoke to him. He spoke back. I introduced myself. He shook my hand and everything." Mothers were seen lifting their young children above the coffin so they could see Stokes. Adorned for his final viewing, he was laid in a mahogany coffin with a custom design blue powder interior. Stokes wore tinted sunglasses, a blue suit, blue silk shirt, blue tie, and handkerchief, and blue python shoes, and he was holding a portable telephone. The floral arrangements that surrounded him included cards, dice, fashion from polystyrene foam, illustrating his passion for luxury automobiles and his claim on his income tax returns that his riches came from gambling. Wow. Wow. So if you want to look up more information right here, here's some of the references at the bottom of the page. So let's look at some more little information. All right, it's not that much, but here's one from Times Magazine, from Los Angeles Times. It's called "Reputed Chicago Drug Kingpin Slain in His Car," and this issue came out in November 1986. All right, the same day he was killed. So it just basically says that a reputed drug kingpin who gained national attention when he buried his slain son in a Cadillac-shaped coffin 2 years ago was shot to death Tuesday as he sat in his own Cadillac on the city's south side. Willie Flukey Stokes had become a legend on Chicago street with his silk suits and diamond rings, but authorities said that flamboyant lifestyle also made him an easy target. Keyword, but authorities said that flamboyant lifestyle also made him an easy target. Let's think about that for a moment. Anyways, a person of this visibility is tempting. A person of this visibility is tempting, not only to the person that wants to just rip him off for the money, but maybe people he went saw on with deals, said Patrick Healy, director of the Chicago Crime Commission. And now I'm gonna just stop right there. That's very true. When you are very a flashy person, or somebody that's very flamboyant, wearing a lot of jewelries and wearing a lot of expensive clothing or driving expensive cars, that does bring a lot of attention upon you. And sometimes it can be negative attention. And especially if there's individuals that you've been rolling with, or you done did your dirt with, you done did your business, your deals with, all that extra stuff, and then the individual decide that, okay, and you end up doing that person wrong, or things don't go well with you and that person. And so the next time they see you again, they see that you got all this extravagant stuff, they gonna plot and they're gonna try to find a way to get at you and take whatever you got, take whatever personal possession that you have, anything that's luxury, anything that's of value. You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing, that a lot of these wealthy individuals, especially these rappers, when they go to the hoods, they gotta be careful going to the hood by themselves. Walking around with some flashy jewelry, you think because you back on your old block or your old street or the alley that you used to hang out at, that everybody's gonna look at you the same way. Everybody's gonna fuck with you on the same level like they did before you got famous. Nah, because once they see you got all that extra stuff and you living that extravagant life, they gonna figure out a way how to get you. You know what I'm saying? And it be the ones that's closest to you, the one that's in your circle. They gonna figure out a way how to take you out. You know what I'm saying? So the point is, and I'm not saying that you can't live good, you can't be proud of what you have, the possessions, the extravagant stuff. You can have that, you can have those things, but you gotta be careful in certain areas that you go, especially if you have been in the street life. So you gotta be careful going around certain individuals. That's one of the reasons why, like, you don't really see Jay-Z like that. You don't hear much about him hanging out in his old block. You know what I'm saying? You don't hear much about him being on television because he got to be careful how he move. You know what I'm saying? He got to be careful being in the media outlets, being seen in the neighborhoods, because even though he come from the projects and a lot of people know him, but there still might be some people that will try to come after him, especially if he owes them some money or something. You see? So you really have to be more strategic and be more careful of what you're doing, because you never know who's watching you and you never know what they plan on doing. So, but I like this statement right here. Let's go ahead. Let's see what else this article talking about. Now, remember, this article came out in 1986, the day he was killed. All right. It says Sergeant Richard O'Connell said the killing may have resulted from a dispute with another drug dealing organization. Police said they wanted to question a man Stokes reportedly had wanted killed. And it says Stokes' son, Willie the Wimp Stokes Jr., also died from a shot in the head at his 1984 funeral, attended by more than 5,000 guests. Moaning relative placed 1,000 bills between his fingers. All right, so that came from Los Angeles Times. All right. All right, so this is from Jet Magazine right here. So Jet Magazine put out this issue in December 8th of 1986. I don't know if y'all can see that. That's Flukey and his wife. And his wife is so pretty. Oh, yep, that's him looking all silky. You would have thought this man was a pimp. I mean, you would have thought that was Bishop Don Juan's cousin or somebody like that. Look how flashy he look. You know what I'm saying? Look, he got his hair perm. He got the glasses going on. He got the bling blings. You know what I'm saying? He got his wife all blinged up. All right, but let's see. Right down here, if y'all can really see it. In Jet Magazine, it says Chicago Flukey Stokes met same tragic end as his son. All right. So it pretty much goes into the same thing that I was reading from the Wiki One article. All right. So, yep. So it says Stokes' companion, Diane Miller, hid on the floor of the car during the shooting and was uninjured. The killers, who lurked in the shadows in the early morning hours before the ambush, escaped, but police said they were questioning several individuals in connection with the slayings. All right. Oops. I'm trying to get back. Okay, here I go. All right, then. And then here's another one. If you want to check out more, was it gangsterreport.com, Flukey Stokes, king of Southside Chicago. That's him again. Looking like Uncle Billy over here. You know how you got that one uncle come to the family reunion, and he come looking all fly. He come all dressed up with his nice little hair, wear a little smooth glasses, wearing the little leather coats and all that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he look like somebody, Uncle Billy. Or somebody, Uncle James. Now we gonna say Uncle James over here. Let me stop. But yeah, this article goes in more depth about the life of Willie Stokes. Yeah, so let's see what else they talking about in this article. It says Flukey, according to police sources, was being extra cautious since he had paid for a failed assassination attempt against one of his rivals, who was also a leader in one of Chicago's deadliest street gangs, and a man that Officer Robert O'Neill of the Gangs Crimes South Unit said had vowed revenge against Flukey for the attempt on his life. And that's how one of the most powerful organized crime figures in Chicago history died. Okay, so according to this article here, it's basically saying that because he tried to make an attempt on someone else's life, tried to, have that person assassinated, that person came back and made an attempt on his life, and he ended up getting killed that way. So again, there's no article. So there's no article proving that the woman that was with him had something to do with it, or she was the one that set him up. It doesn't say that. So unless somebody can prove that, I don't see that in here. All right, but it says Willie Flukey was one of the most successful black gangsters in not just Chicago history, but in American history. An iconic figure in the Windy City. He was first known to the police in the late 1950s as a drug dealer, and by the late 1970s had become a true kingpin dominating the Southside drug trade. Stokes' flair for the dramatic was such that when his son Willie the Wimp was killed in 1984, the funeral was memorialized in song by legendary guitarist Stevie Ray Vaughan. Okay. Stokes died just as the age of crack cocaine had begun, and in many ways, he was the last of a dying breed. During Flukey's era, selling drugs was a complicated game controlled by a select few, not the wild west of teenage gunslingers that categorized the crack era. By now, stories about piles of cash and lists of murders, victims associated with the drug underworld are old hat. So what makes the tale of Flukey Stokes worth telling? After sifting through court documents and news articles about not only Stokes, but the various criminal characters involved in his story, I realized that the real story wasn't Stokes, but the system, primarily meaning the Chicago Police Department and Cook County Prosecutor's Office, that allow him and other criminals to thrive year after year, decade after decade. Now, let's see. I'm not going to go anymore. So if y'all want to read more about this, you can go on gangsterreport.com. Yeah, because see, I don't have a whole lot of time, but you can go ahead and read it on your own. As a matter of fact, let me read down here. Let's see. It says Charles Edward Bay, prime suspect in Flukey's Stokes murder. Let's see what we can find here. Where do I start? Oh, okay, I see it. Okay, so the police department's chief suspect in Stokes' murder, Charles Edward Bay, was a member of the Moorish Science Temple, an African American religious group that dates from the early 20th century. Bay was the co-founder of the Black Peace Stones street gang in the 1960s with a man named Jeb Ford, who is currently serving a triple-digit sentence for a variety of crimes, including attempting to conspire with Liberian agents in a terrorist attack on U.S. soil. In 1976, the Black Peace Stones changed their name to Arukin and aligned themselves with the Moorish Science Temple and took on their trappings, which include wearing red fez hats and considering themselves a sovereign state that was not bound by U.S. law, like, for example, carrying proper identification such as a driver's license. All right. And it says by 1986, the El Rukins and the rest of Chicago's strongest black gang were knee deep in the drug trade, often making their money by charging a street tax to dealers like Stokes for the right to sell heroin and cocaine on the inner city streets they control. Street tax. We're going to look that up. We're going to look up what street tax is in a minute. But let's continue. Apparently, Charles Edwards Bay and Flukey's business had become mutually exclusive after at least 20 shots from an Uzi machine gun was fired at Bay and fellow gang leader William Highsmith in an alley behind South Michigan Avenue. Bay had a long history of criminal charges, beginning with a fraud charge for embezzling federal funds in the 1960s. Bay and Ford's Black Peace Stone gang received millions in government funds to support urban redevelopment and were convicted of redirecting those funds for personal gain. Bay was sentenced to 4 years in prison, but eventually had his sentence reduced to probation. In 1971, Bay and 6 other street gang members were acquitted in the murder of Chicago detective James Alfano of the Gang Intelligence Unit, who was shot in a Southside alley in 1970. After the acquittal of Bay and the other Black Peace Stones in the sniper ambush death of Detective Alfano, there were months of sniper shootings directed at Chicago police officers. Cicely Marsh, a Black Peace Stone member and the chief witness in the case, was murdered in March of 1971. All right. Okay, so that's one hell of a story right there. Again, see, that's the politics of the streets, and that's the politics of street life. Now, if you want to look this article up, look up Gangster Report, Flukey Stokes, King of Southside Chicago. If you want to go ahead and share, you can share. You can do what you need to do. Go ahead. That's on you. I just want to present that source for you. All right, so let's look at street tax. Now, what do they mean when they say street tax? All right. Okay, let's look at the street tax. Let's look at Urban Dictionary. You know what? Maybe I can. All right, let's go ahead and look in the Urban Dictionary. All right, so street tax. Ooh, the heck? Hold on, you guys. I don't know what's going on. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see me still because my camera's going in and out. Hold on, shit. Okay. Okay, so hopefully you guys can still see the screen. You probably won't be able to see me. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what happened. It just the green screen came on, then it just went out, then it came back on. I don't know. Sometimes technology act real funny, so I don't know what the hell is going on. Hopefully it don't do it again. But anyways, let's look up the term street tax. So random or cyclical extortionary dues paid to gain by vendors on streets overrun by gangs. Current era version of mafia insurance. Mafia insurance. Let's look at what mafia insurance is. When someone has mafia insurance, they usually have some sort of deal with the mafia where they provide money and or service in exchange for protection. Okay. Alrighty then. Cool. So basically, street tax is you come off somebody's turf, right? And let's say you want to do business over there, you want to do your little cartel or whatever. In order for you to do that cartel, you gotta pay those individuals or those organizations the money in order to do that cartel. Because if you don't pay up, then they ain't gonna let you come over there and do anything. And if you try to take over, then that's gonna cost you. So the thing is, okay, you want to do business here, you want to sell here, you want to do whatever, you're gonna have to pay up. That's what they call it. And they call that street tax. And that's a street term, meaning that you pay if you want to do business operation, technically. So in a nutshell. All right. I know you guys enjoyed this video. And I'm glad that I kind of did this video at the right time. So hopefully you all can share it. And maybe you want to talk about it. Maybe you want to expound more on it. Maybe whatever I'm missing, you probably can add on to it. But that's all I was able to find. That's all I was able to research on regarding to that. There's many more to come, but again, getting back to the Jeezy and Gucci Mane situation, yeah. What you can learn is settle your beef. You don't always have to beef with each other. You don't always have to hold a grudge. You know what I'm saying? At some point in time, you got to get through things in life and you got to move forward. So it's not always easy to forgive your opponent, especially if your opponent has done something very, very treacherous. Excuse me. Yeah, especially if your opponents have done something very treacherous and very grimy. It's not always easy, but eventually you got to be the bigger person to say, you know what, I'm willing to put aside my differences. I already confront the situation. Now I want to be able to move forward and live life. But looking at Mr. Stokes' situation, somebody like him coming from the hardcore streets, living an extravagant life, it comes with a cost, especially those who envies you, especially those who seek revenge on you. It comes with a very cost. That's why, again, you always want to make sure you plan ahead. If something was to happen to you, you always want to make sure that this is why it's good to have life insurance. Like, no, dead serious, not trying to be funny or nothing, on some serious shit. This is why you need life insurance policy. Especially if you somebody from the streets, because anything can happen. Anything can happen to you. And if something's happened to you, you want to make sure that your family is covered. At least they can be able to bury you, and your children, if they're small, they can have something available and they will be looked after. So it won't be a lot of stress and worry on the person that's a beneficiary or the person that's responsible for taking care of the family. when you're no longer here. And you got a case where so many family members, especially mothers, where they have to put up the GoFundMe's and the cash out to have someone memorialized, cremated, funeral arrangement, all of that. And that's not easy to do. Because on average, to get somebody cremated, it'll cost you about $1,200, $1,300. Yeah, it's very expensive. Just for direct cremation alone. $1,300. Now imagine how much it costs to have somebody buried, to get a gravestone, and have the memorial service. That's not cheap. And if you can't afford the money, then guess what they do? They send your loved one to the state, and the state will bury them. And so your family member's body is on top of someone else's body. And I know this because I had an uncle who passed away. Okay? He had died from, I think he had AIDS. Yeah, he died from AIDS. He had no insurance. So guess what? The states had to bury him. And until this day, we don't exactly know where his body is. Like, we don't know exactly where they buried him. We just know that he was buried. So if we was trying to get a gravestone for him, it would be hard because we got to locate where exactly the area he's at. It's a business out here. It's a struggle. This all goes back to the economics. But somebody like that brother from Chicago, he was only trying to live a lifestyle that his family did not have. And that was the wealth. See, many of us did not come from wealth. We didn't come from that generation where money was passed down to the family. We had to struggle for that. And a lot of us are still struggling to obtain wealth. So that's one of the reasons why you see people out here flashing and showing off their cars and, showing off their big mansion, because they never lived that. They never understood what it was like to be financially disciplined, what it means to have millions of dollars. So when they see that, they like, oh shit, I'm wealthy, man, I'm rich. I'm about to get up out the hood. I'm about to buy all the things that I want, because they never been exposed to it. All they knew was poverty. All they knew was the ghetto, the inner city, the projects. That's all they knew. The war zones, the gangs. That's all we know. We don't really have a lot of businesses in our neighborhoods. We don't have that many businesses. Yes, you might have hair salons. You may have barbershops. But you don't have a law firm. You don't have that many banks. You don't really have the real estate business in our neighborhoods. You don't have a lot of the places that we need that we can go. We don't have a lot of loans, like places that we can go take our loans and whatnot for business, for personal loans. We don't have that in our community. Because what you see is what? Abandoned houses, boarded up houses. For the most part, drug addicts. Liquor stores that's really owned by those from the Middle East or Asian. That's it. So for that, we didn't come from those wealth. We didn't come from being wealthy. We didn't come from being rich. And this is why it baffled me to see, the black people that tries to blame other black folks because the fact that they come from other countries or from the other part of diaspora to find work without having the knowledge and understanding. Like the FBA and the ADOS, and yes, I'm going to keep talking about them because what they say is nonsensical at times. They sit here, they criticize, they talk about how they coming over here, them immigrants, them Caribbeans coming taking our jobs or whatnot. What jobs? And let's just say they do come over here, and let's say that, they start business over here, but guess what? They ain't making that kind of wealth. They not wealthy like you think. They still right net to net with us. Because at the end of the day, they ain't making no money compared to those who are Asian and European. And then when they have children that was born here in America, and I'm speaking about those in the Caribbeans, they come, having children here. Their kids growing up and experienced the American life. Ain't nobody looking at them and say, oh, because your parents was Jamaican or Trinidadian or they was from the Barbados or from the Bahamas, we're going to treat you differently. We're going to give you this. We're going to give you that. No, you don't get that kind of privilege. It doesn't work like that. They still deal with the black experience because that's all they know. Yeah, their parents might come from other places, but they were born in America. And you can't penalize that child that was born here in America because of their parents or their grandparents come from another country. All they know is the American life and what they got to put up with. You go tell that to somebody like Biggie Smalls, whose mom was raised him in the projects in Brooklyn, New York. Yes, she was from Jamaica, but she didn't have that kind of luxury. She didn't have that kind of privilege. She was living in a damn hood, raising Biggie. She was a single mother. You know what I'm saying? Or you tell that somebody like Nicki Minaj. Now, I don't really like Nicki Minaj like that, but before Nicki became a rapper, she had a hard life growing up in the hood of Queens, New York. Her father was a drug addict, and it was her mama that was raising her. Her daddy wasn't at home. And then there was a story where the house that she grew up in got caught on fire. So they ended up being homeless and trying to find a way. She didn't have no easy life. Because you think because she's Trinidadian, she's supposed to have an easy life? No, it don't work like that. Y'all don't understand. America don't give a fuck if you from the Caribbeans, if you're from the continent, if you were born, if your ancestry was born here in America or was enslaved here in America. They don't give a damn. You still at the bottom. And what we all have in common, we're going against a big machine, which is white supremacy. You may not like to hear that, but that's just what it is. You might as well call it global white supremacy because it ain't just happening in America. Our ancestors was enslaved. Our ancestors had to work not only here in America, but in the Caribbean, in Latin America. And then they was transported from those places to come here and work for free before they was able to get freedom. Slavery, capitalism goes very deep. Once you understand slavery and capitalism, then you get to understand the condition our people in. So whether we agree to disagree, we may not like the lifestyle. I don't like to see our people out here in these streets selling drugs. I don't like to see our people out here in the strip club shaking their goddamn ass or out here prostituting. I don't like to see that, but I understand why they doing that. I understand what it is because it's a rat race. It's a dog eat dog world. So you got to get something. You gonna have to find a way to get it. Like what did 50 say? Get rich or die trying. It's one of those situations. You either gonna get rich or you gonna die trying. And so you gotta say, well, how am I going to do this? And how I'm gonna go about getting it? And whatever resources is available in your community, that's what you're gonna go for. So for our community, the resources that's really available to us, for the most part, it's the streets. If you're really trying to get fast money and you're trying to hurry up and pay your rent, hurry up making sure your family don't get their electricity cut off, you're going to turn to the streets. You're going to turn to that pimp. You're going to turn to that big time drug dealer. Or you might turn to that, you might go out here and sleep with a couple of men, or you might go to the strip clubs. And yes, strippers, they make a whole lot of damn money. They do. You know, but you might turn to these things because you getting that quick money, you getting that fast money. You getting that money up front, and you can go home and take care of your family, make sure your family get what they want. And then you have to look at these youngsters out here. They may be the ones that have to be the head of the family. Okay? They're the ones that are latchkey kids, meaning that they are at home by themselves a lot. They have to take care of their little siblings because their parents are not around or their grandparent is sick and they're not old enough to get a job. All right? In most states, you can't even start working until you're 16 years old, 16 or 17. But if you're under the age of 16, you can only work 3 hours, 3 to 5 hours a day. Now imagine you working 3 to 5 hours a day off of $9.50 an hour or $9 an hour. That's not enough money for you, especially when you got to take care of your younger siblings. So you're going to figure out a way, how do I get better money? How do I get more money? How do I earn more income? So you're going to look up to that person who is well respected on the block, who's well respected on the streets, who got all that revenue. You're going to go to him or you're going to go to her and you're going to get that money. And that's that. And yes, the streets don't discriminate. The street is very rough. You got to be very strategic. There's rules to the game. Yes. You know, you can't just go out there and play checker, because you can play checker if you want to, but you're going to end up getting checkmate. You're going to end up getting checkmate. So it's a lot of psychology that goes into this street life, into this gang life. It's a lot of psychology. If you don't deal with the psychology, then it ain't for you. You got to be mentally capable of dealing with this. And also, you're going to come to find out that there are those who in the gang that may have affiliation with police officers, or may have officers that are who they friends with, they cool with, because they want to make sure that that officer can tell them what's going on in the department and what they're doing, so that way they know when to stop the operation when there's a raid going on, or when they could continue the operation. So yeah. But you know what? There was a story about a police officer who was not only he was a cop, but he was also a gang member. Okay. So he was telling the gangs what was going on in the police department. And he was also supplying them with weapons. And guess what? He ended up getting locked up. They gave him 15 years. So when he gets out, he has to be under supervision for 5 years. This is the life, and the life that you live, it comes with those consequences. It comes with major consequences. Especially when you make a mistake. See, when you make a mistake, you don't always get to say, okay, I'm going to correct this and I'm going to get it right. And you ain't got to worry about that again. No, it may be too late. It may be too late for you. You may not have that opportunity to go back and correct something. Because once you make that mistake, that's going to cost you. That one mistake will cost you. That's how careful you have to be if you in that lifestyle. It will cost you your life. It can cost your family life. And most of all, it will cost your children's life. And it's sad when your children is involved in it and they have nothing to do with it. They don't even know what's going on. They're little innocent kids, but they're involved. And they ain't asked to be involved. When you guys get a chance to, if you guys haven't, and I posted this book up, and I'm going to post it again, make sure that you read this book right here, The 48 Laws of Power. All right? It gets into the power and the politics of what it means to obtain power. All right, by Robert Greene. So this is the most popular book that a lot of people have. It's a lot of pages in this book, but yes, if you have not read this book, please read it. And then, of course, I also showed this book the last time I was on here. It's called The Laws of Human Nature, but as you can see, the letters is kind of like it's faded. So as you can see, The Laws of Human Nature. This was the latest book that came out by Robert Greene, dealing with the psychology, sociology of people's behavior. Just dealing with the social science. So if you want to learn the anthropology, the sociology, the psychology, and philosophy, this is the book. Yeah, this is the book right here. But anyways, how's that book is the devil? Wait a minute. Somebody put that book is of the devil. Okay, well, if that's what if you think that the book is of the devil, then okay, that's fine. But then I understand it. I understand it because I understand it from a principle standpoint. I understand from a sociological standpoint, from a psychology standpoint. Okay? So what he's telling you is what is going on. So if you think that book is of the devil, then imagine what is taking place in the world. What's taking place in the world is talked about in this book. So the same concept that he's speaking of this in this book is what they're doing in the politics, in social groups, and in religious groups as well. But they do it in religious groups, Courtney. They do it in politics. They do it in social organization. So it's real. I mean, yeah, it might consist of evil things or things that might be very uncomfortable, mischievous or whatnot, but that's what you're dealing with in the real world. So it's educational. You gotta learn it. I mean, you gotta learn it. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah, I have that book too. I have The Art of War. I have that as well. Well, hey, I mean, you got good and evil. That you got good and evil and everything. You got good, evil, bad and ugly, positive and negatives. So that's gonna happen. That's in everything. That's in everything. So we gotta understand and see the world that we live in. The world that we live in is based off of philosophy, science, epistemology. Epistemology is the study of knowledge. Politics. That's what it's based off of. But it all goes back to philosophies. And those philosophies brings about application, which we call science. And science is not just going into the laboratory and putting chemicals together. No, science is also bringing application. And then you deal with the epistemology. You study the knowledge of that knowledge, which brings about the politics, which brings about the social class, which brings about the economics, which brings about the culture. That's a fact. That's a fact. Huh? Right. I mean, I hear what you're saying, Courtney. I mean, I'm not knocking what you're saying, but it is what it is. You know? All I'm saying, it is what it is. That's that's the kind of world we living in. I'm not saying you're not well versed. I'm not saying that. I get where you're coming from, but it's the kind of world we living in. We living in a world that you gotta play chess. You playing chess versus playing checker. Because if it was that easy, then we can. If it was that easy, then we could play checkers. We can play checkers all day. It will be that easy. But it's not that easy. So you gotta play chess. And you gotta be careful how you move your pieces. Just like when you're playing them cards, right? When you play poker, when you play spades, you gotta be careful what cards you put down. Because if you don't play your hands right, then you can easily lose. So it's always a chance of winning or losing. So I mean, I understand that. Okay, right. Hey, I mean, you got the right to your opinion. You got a right to your opinion. You're right. I'm not knocking that. If that's how you feel, if the book is of the devil, then cool. You know what I'm saying? You have the right to that. You have a right to that, but I mean, I understand where you're coming from. Let me see something. Oh, hold on. I was trying to see if I can go back up and read the comments. No, it's not gonna let me go. Hold on. Oh, okay. Cool. 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 Anthony put this the first time hearing Miss Tiffany Cook. Oh, boy. Okay, let's see what else. All right. So, anyways, you guys, um, this was a powerful video, a great discussion. Again, I appreciate you all in the chat for coming in, giving your opinions, keeping me entertained, because this was quite entertaining. Some of your comments was pretty entertaining. So if you want to go ahead and share the video, you're more than welcome to do so. Make sure you share the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the notification bell when I come on. So that way I can be able to continue to do what I'm doing. Yeah, and if you also want to donate to the Cash App, you see that $ tip world is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. As you can see, very bottom where it says Cash App $ tip world. Go ahead and do so. So I appreciate that. I greatly appreciate you guys watching. I really do. Just continue to do what you do. Continue with the support. And so one day, I'll make sure that I can get some of you guys to come on and, give you little interviews or, give you your thoughts and your perspective and things like that. So we all can have a discussion about a particular topic, a topic that's, mainly deal with community issues or whatnot. And we can go from there. So I will have to arrange that. Just let me know if you're interested in, or if you want me on your channel. I'll be more than happy to be on your channel, and we can have the interview. We can have a discussion. We can, whatever. But I gotta get going, you guys. Unfortunately, I'm pressed on time. You got to get busy. You got to handle your business. You got to take care of your priorities. The bills don't stop coming in, so gotta do what I gotta do. So anyways, let me go ahead and log off, and I will reconnect with you all later. So y'all take it easy. Please be safe. Please be careful, because they're saying that the cases of the coronavirus has went up. It's a little over, I think the death had went over 250,000. Yeah, I think it's over 250,000 deaths in the United States as of right now due to this COVID virus. So we don't know how long this pandemic is going to last. So let's just be careful where we at, where we going, what we doing, and all that great stuff. So wherever you go, when you go to certain facility, make sure you mask up. I don't care if y'all think it's fake or not. Please take it easy. Please be careful. Okay. So until they can find out what they're going to do as far as the solution goes, the best thing for us to do is make sure that our health is our wealth, and we maintain it at all time, at all costs. All right. All right. So peace out. All right. That's it. Thank you. Be safe.